I'm on.
Welcome back to Sports for Dummies. In today's episode, we are reviewing the Fremantle...
The Dockers.
Dockers. That's the one. Johnny, let's get into it.
Well, Fremantle, they sort of had a nothing year last year, really, after making the finals the year before.
Finishing 14th, 10 wins, 13 losses.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll just say it off the bat. I don't see them getting any better.
No, I think they're going to stay down where they are.
The only advantage they have is what every single interstate club has.
Yep.
Is, they're going to get 12 games at home, but even then, they're beatable.
I was going to say
they're beatable everywhere. They're just they just there's nothing about that side that really they've got a good. Don't get me wrong, they've got a couple of good players. Sarong had a fantastic year last year and was the absolute standout. Luke Jackson, Sean Darcy, they're very good, and they've got some real good old players like Fife and Walters, but just around it, I don't get excited talking about Fremantle.
No, I mean, literally at the start of this episode, we're kind of half asleep. I know that sounds harsh, but they don't have that flair. They're not going to be there. We're going to go straight into the team list. As you can tell, the recap of 2023 was pretty piss poor for their team.
Well, I mean, you go through, you got Pearce, Ryan and Chapman in the very back half, Cox, Walker and Clark. Jordan Clark coming from Geelong, is a good pickup.
Yep.
Then you've got in the centre Young, Frederick off the wing. I do like him. I loved his run. And then Matthew Johnson, but that will get slaughtered by any of the good sides.
100%.
And then they've got this weird mix. So this is what happened with Melbourne last year with Grundy and Gawn.
Yeah.
They've got Luke Jackson and Sean Darcy, and I don't think it works. I don't love it. I don't think it works having two dominant ruckmen because they're both starting ruckmen. Yeah,
which is hard because who really takes that spot? And
Correct.
That becomes almost a competitive thing. And for last year, I mean,
it has to be Sean Darcy because Luke Jackson is at least mobile, where he can play sort of that forward role. He's fit. While Sean Darcy has to be the starting ruckman.
Look, there might have been a bit of hope for the team at the end of the year. I know they were 2-5 after 7 games in the 2023 season, but then they won the last 3 out of 5, and one of their wins was against the West Coast by over 101 points. No, not 100, was 101 points. Now, anyone could have kicked West Coast's ass like that, but it gives them a bit of a glimpse that maybe things are on the up and they're only moving forward.
What I do like about them is they do have talent in the forward line. Amiss had a really good year. I think you mentioned off air he's the first Fremantle player to kick over 40 goals since Pavlich.
Since Walters in 2019, and then prior to that it was Pavlich in 2012.
Like Michael Walters, how much does he have left in the tank? We know what he can do at his best. Taberner's a really interesting one because every year I think this is going to be the year to break out because he moves really well. He's got good hands. He's good in front of goal, but he just never strings together that consistent dominant performance. And then their midfield's good as well. Like Sarong was absolutely sensational. Brayshaw's a gun.
They're 2 superstars. They're some of the best on balls in the comp.
But just over that, and then depth players, Aish. I'm calling O'Meara a depth player now because he's just always injured.
What happened?
He's always injured, and when he is fit, he just never hit the form. Because when he was recruited at Gold Coast, the hype was that he was going to be the best young player ever.
Yeah, I remember he was this Adonis. He walked out there and he did have that spark, but then it's just injury riddled and just. He plays a good game here and there, but he just can't seem to string it along for a full season. So it's frustrating to watch. But you know what's frustrating again, and I didn't really want to bring it up, but Freo bet Essendon last year.
We were at your house, I think.
Yeah.
And I knew it would happen because they'll beat you guys at home.
Shut up, John. What
is depressing is what Fremantle, they have not added anything, and they've
They did
actually
nothing.
lost. I mean,
Ins and
They
outs.
got-
We're going into the ins and outs right now.
well, they got draft picks, nothing to write home about. But their outs, their biggest one is obviously Lockie Schultz and then Liam Henry. But Schultz is the one because he's a gun.
We kicked 33 last year, and I don't know how many Liam Henry. It's Liam Henry, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many they had between as small forwards, but they were their, two promising forwards that, them leaving. Walters is now kind of taking that responsibility and has to make sure he kicks his bag. And he had that on his head to kick, his 4 to 6 goals every sort of game. And now it's probably going to be right back on him, and he's a bit older.
There's just nothing to love. I'm just
Nah.
just nothing. Like I'm even speaking about it. It's actually not because of from a lack of care factor. It's actually going through looking, the ins.
In depth.
Hopefully they can get, if some of these draft picks can come together. But they sold their top draft picks for Luke Jackson.
Yeah. So they got in, I think here, Odin Jones, he's a key forward. Ruckman, Cooper Simpson, he's a midfielder / forward. Ollie Murphy, he's a key defender. Jack Deline or Dill, yeah, we'll go with that. Deline, he's a small forward. So it was a really, really quiet draft period and trade period for them. I mean, obviously because of Luke Jackson last year and giving up your pick 7 for this year doesn't really help you. It probably would have been a useful thing to have had it, but
And this is
they don't.
this is the thing. It's almost like Fremantle did what West Coast did with Tim Ryan when they picked him up from Geelong.
yeah.
Sorry, not Tim Ryan, Tim Kelly. They sold the farm for him. Where have West Coast been since?
Yeah.
And
But
I feel
bottom of the
like
ladder.
they've done that for Luke Jackson as well. They already had a ruckman. They didn't need to sell the farm to get another one. So some really poor choices from management as well. I just can't see Fremantle being a threat to anybody.
Who's the coach for the Fremantle Dockers?
That's a great question.
That is a question that
actually
says a lot.
And I know all the coaches do, and I do not know the Fremantle coaches.
I thought I would challenge you on that one, Johnny, because I know
that is
you know
bad-
a lot about AFL.
How did I not know it was Justin Longmire? Sorry guys, that's a rookie error. We're going to leave that because Justin Longmire, he's been there for a bit. Fremantle, through and through.
But what I'm saying is the team isn't memorable at the moment.
They're
not getting the limelight. They were where did they finish, you said, in 2022?
Well, they made the finals 2022 and they had a home final and were beaten by the Doggies.
So look at that. And you're like, how did they had high hopes probably for 2023 and they came out and just got torched. So it's just unfortunate to see. And you would have thought all the Freo supporters, I'm sure anyone who's a Freo supporter, drop your comments. What were your thoughts for last season? It was a pretty dismal performance for a squad that went into the finals the year before and just, recruited strong and it didn't pay off.
It's amazing. The West Coast Eagles are will be the worst in the West, obviously. Fremantle aren't that bad, but I almost get more excited talking about them.
Because they suck so much.
There's just nothing to like about Fremantle.
Now, that brings me to my next segment. Who's the players to watch? Who are you watching?
I do think Luke Jackson, he's another year older now and he's an athletic beast.
Yep.
He's great to watch. I love watching Frederick. I think he provides really good run and he's a good hit-up target.
Yep.
I'd like to see how the old blokes go in Fife and Walters. If Fife is really, out of, the big three, Dangerfield and Dusty, probably out of all of them the last few years, he slowed down the most due to injury. We forget how good he was.
He was a gun. What was his 20? He's a Brownlow medalist.
He's a Brownlow medalist.
He's a superstar, but yeah, he definitely has. I think he's just been injury ridden.
Yep.
And it happens. You get old, you're going to get injuries. It's just part of life. It's part of footy.
Yeah, and not everyone has, that sustained success,
No.
In terms of their body. So I'd like to see them. And Sarong.
I want to see Sarong, I was going to say.
And Sarong was really good.
I'm kidding. He's my only player. I think, in regards to obviously Luke Jackson. That's just he came from Melbourne. He was playing very good footy.
They won a flag and, he's gone over because he's WA boy, but...
doesn't seem to have worked.
Well, not yet. He kicked 22 goals, but I just don't think it works as a ruck duo.
Yeah, no, completely agree. Now, in terms of strengths and weaknesses,
Well,
where do you reckon we're going to start with the areas to improve?
Well, I
are
think
you
if they
thinking?
can get their forward line's losing those two players, Ryan and Schultz, but I think they've actually got genuine talent there. So can that work? And they've got a good young midfield.
Yeah.
So that's something to work on.
So I think their weakness, like we said, their goal kicking. They don't have that star forward like Luke Jackson, 22.
Well,
That's okay, but it's not.
Let's see
Let's
how
give
a
him
miss
the
goes.
year.
Let's see how a miss goes.
Yep, a miss. Jai miss. I reckon, he's got, he kicked 41, but I feel like if this year he can come out and really turn it on, it'll be a different season for them. So what about their strengths? Where do you see them?
Well, that's where I think that's where their strength can be. I think we can change that. That can actually change their forward line. Actually, there is actually talent there. It's just, can they string it together?
Yep.
Taberner's the one, I've said it before, who I always think he's going to have a breakout year, and he always starts well. He presents well, just never does it. I mean, their midfield, in terms of strengths, as I said, they got a really good, young midfield with Young, Sarong, and Brayshaw.
Yeah.
And they've got, despite what I said about the two main ruckmans not working, they are two of the best ruckmans in the league. So, in terms of centre clearances, they should be getting first, touch on the ball.
Well, realistically, they've got their midfield class. Like that's primarily Sean Darcy, Luke Jackson. That has to be the best duo in the AFL at the moment.
But but Gawn and Grundy are better than both of them, and that was a disaster.
Yeah.
So this is why I don't think
it necessarily works.
No.
But then you've got, the likes of Sarong, Brayshaw, Fife, and then you've got O'Meara who can get in and do the tough work. They've got a good midfield. They've actually got a really solid midfield.
Fife, I don't think Fife will get a gap. I don't think he's going to run in the midfield.
Yeah, you never know.
I think he's going to stay close to home.
You reckon he'll go?
Yeah, he's been injured too much and he's old.
I
generally reckon he's going to be a stay-at-home forward.
Look, he plays very well he's a high-flying forward. He can take a great mark.
Yeah, you can't do any of that anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
This is the thing. Like, we're talking about Fife from like his prime years, but like this is going to be a very 25-30% version of Fife. I hope I'm wrong. But I don't see that changing.
No, fair enough. Now we'll jump straight into the fixture because they've actually got an interesting one.
Well, they've got. I mean, they start off. Hang on. They've got Brisbane for round one at home.
Yeah.
So they got Brisbane, Carlton, and Port in the first 5 rounds, which is pretty
Brutal.
difficult. But they've also got Kangaroos and West Coast, so they've got 2 easy beats. So they've got Adelaide at home. If they can get that, they might be 3-6 to start the year. 3 from 3. No, I'm sorry, 3 from 6.
That's a pretty rough start.
It's a pretty rough start, but look at who they've got. They got 3 sides in the top 5. So if they can even that, maybe they can get some confidence.
Hopefully. Where do you see their pass mark being? Where do you have them?
For me, a pass mark would not be. After that, and I don't think I had this low when I did my predictions, but after going through it in depth, a pass mark for me if they finish above bottom 4.
Yeah, right.
There's nothing to like about them at the moment. There's stuff to like, obviously.
Midfield, but outside of that, the midfield and like we talked about, Luke Jackson, Sean Darcy, they're 2 Fife's at the end. It's becoming O'Meara's.
If they finish between 12 to 15th,
yeah, that's great.
I'd expect that for them. Would they consider that a pass mark? No. But
that's
for me, I wouldn't be too disappointed in Fremantle if they finished in there. If they were bottom 4, I think they've got a bit more, go in them than, West Coast and North and, are they better than Hawthorn and stuff? But 12 to 15th, I don't. Actually, I think that's okay.
I reckon they might fall into the bottom 4.
Yeah.
100%. They have the ability to drop
Because
in there.
West Coast team's horrible, but they've got some better from if those players miraculously come back into some form, which I don't think will. And North are coached by Clarko, and they get Clarko back after the year from hell that he had, having to step down for a little bit. So yeah, not looking good for Fremantle for me.
No, I completely agree. And I want to know what the viewers think. Chuck, where your pass mark is for the Fremantle Dockers for 2024. Yeah, I just don't see them being... They're not going to be anywhere above the top 13, 14 for me.
No.
So I just can't see that. I think a pass mark, definitely, like you said, if they can get out of that bottom four, great, good work. You've done your job. But I just don't see it happening. The players are getting a lot older. They didn't really recruit too well, and they're the two players the player they went really hard for, Luke Jackson, might not work out.
Correct, and it's happened.
It's proof in the pudding.
It happened with Tim Kelly at West Coast, so we've seen it before. But yeah,
hopefully, I'm sure every Freo supporter is hoping a very different story out of that one. Any final thoughts for the Fremantle Dockers? I think we've pretty much wrapped up everything. It's a very quick episode, and the reason for that is...
I think Freo, final thoughts, and I've said it a few times since we started the footy videos, Freo have an opportunity to go back. You get 12 games at home. Just make Optus Oval... do they call
Optus
it
Stadium?
Optus Stadium. Thinking about the old Carlton Optus Oval. Make Optus Stadium a fortress again. Just get back to basics. If you can get 8, you play 12 games. If you can win 8 games there, that's 8 games, and then you get a couple at home. You're out of that position that I said.
Take a leaf out of Port Adelaide and Brisbane's. Sure, Brisbane first and foremost, the leaders of that.
Well, take a leaf out of Adelaide, who were in the same position you were in 2022, and they really made it hard to. They didn't win every game, but they made it very hard to win there.
Yeah.
Get back to making Fremantle. When people have to travel, because I remember growing up. It's not Subiaco because they've changed the actual oval now. It's a completely different thing. But going over to Perth was always hard. It was always a tough road. Just make it horrible for the travelling side.
No, it already is horrible to get there. So you should have all your fans there, absolutely against them, and it should be a fortress where you absolutely dominate. Adelaide's pretty close for the Melbournians. Seriously, it's not that far. So the fact that they can do it, maybe take a leaf out of their book. On that, are they still doing this? Do they do this round when they go to a state?
The other round?
Yeah. I think they are.
Yeah, they are. It's in Adelaide again.
They're doing Adelaide again. So that's a bit unfair.
It was really disappointing because I actually liked the idea. I don't like the idea.
Might have gone to.
I don't like the idea of gimmicks. I think the AFL should stay the same. However, if they were going to do it, I did like the idea of every state getting to host it for a day.
100%.
For a week.
It shouldn't just
next week be Brisbane.
Yeah.
The following year be Perth.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. I thought maybe they would have changed it up, but clearly not. They're just like, we'll put them all to Adelaide. Yep. Maybe I do understand it. You got the Barossa Valley, you got all the wineries, you got all the fun stuff over there. I get it, but it's a bit unfair for the actual teams, the interstate teams. But anyway, guys, that wraps this up. Thank you so much for watching. We're really appreciating the views. If there's any comments, any suggestions, please leave them down below. We're all ears, and we're happy for any feedback you guys have. Once again, like, subscribe, and
ring the bell.
Thank you for watching, guys. See you in the next one.
See you later. Bye.